The steeple on the old church was in great need of a new coat of paint. And so a painter was painting it one very hot day, and as the steeple got wider as he made his way down, he noticed that it was taking more and more paint to cover it. So he began to get concerned that he might not have enough paint to actually finish it. Since he was very hot and tired and did not want to make another trip to the paint store, he decided to stretch the amount of paint he had by adding some paint thinner to it. So when he finished painting the entire steeple, he lowered himself to the ground and he went about cleaning and packing up his supplies, and it started to rain. And then he looked up to see the results of his work and noticed that the areas where he used the paint thinner looked very different. It was actually washing away. So he was perplexed. He was pondering what to do about it when the sky turned dark and there was a huge lightning flash and a tremendous thunderclap. And then a loud, booming voice from the sky said this: "Repaint and thin no more." I warned you. I warned you that every now and then there was going to be a true groaner. I think that's in that category. But it seemed to fit because we're continuing to talk about tools to support us on the spiritual journey. And when we use these spiritual tools, it supports us in being in integrity with what we are. And and I'll make a distinction between the who of us and the what of us, right? The who of us is our personality self, which is beautiful and wonderful. And the what of us, though, is the divinity that we are, is the wholeness that we are, is the Christ that we are, that we say in unity so often. To be in integrity with what we are. And so it really came to me because, again, every single week I get to work on it with you about forgiveness. And there's many ways on the spiritual path. There's many conversations about forgiveness. The Course in Miracles has a beautiful way of approaching forgiveness. If you've ever heard of Colin Tipping, radical forgiveness, it's really amazing. And so what really struck me to talk about today about forgiveness is just a very simple approach. And it came again to me in my awareness as I was teaching SEE here, Lessons in Truth by H. Emily Cady. And she talks about, are we in bondage or are we in liberty? Are we living life freely, truly freely? Are we living life peacefully? Because when we're living life truly freely, I think the definition is liberation, to release from being encumbered, to release from our troubles. What Emily Cady said is, here's the word forgive. She flipped it and said, give for. And I think I might even have mentioned this. I might have touched on this when we were talking about daring greatly, but I really just wanted to bring it back into our awareness. It's such a simple little twist, a simple approach, but I feel it's very, very profound. To give for. So when we're hurt, when we're disappointed, when we have an expectation that has not been met, we can pull in, can't we? We can feel constrained because when we're in resistance, that tends to be what we do. And so she reminds us that what we can do is in the midst of that, we can give good for the hurt that's been given. And I tell you, that is not always the easiest road, is it? It's a very profound truth. There is a beautiful quote by Thucydides, an ancient Greek historian and author, that said, "The secret of happiness is freedom. The secret of freedom is courage." The secret of happiness is freedom. The secret of freedom is courage. It takes great courage for us to confront where we have been holding on to the past, where we have been holding on to unforgiveness, because maybe we've just felt powerless to it. You know, and our tendency, again, in our human condition is sometimes we'll avoid. You know, sometimes we minimize, we defend, sometimes we lash out, we self-protect, sometimes we just walk away. But this is our opportunity to give for. And what I saw in my mind when I was just kind of working with this to share with you today, giving means extending, reaching out. Because again, sometimes we want to do this, but when we give for, we extend. We extend. And we step into that energy that might be hurtful, that might feel fearful. And we go direct and we speak our truth to the best of our ability. There's a verse in Ephesians 4 that I think is great advice for us dealing with our hurt and anger. And this is what it says. "So putting away falsehood, let us all speak the truth to one another, for we are members of one another. Be angry, but do not let the sun go down on your anger. And do not make room for the devil." We'll talk about that one. All right, so let us put away falsehood. Let us try to put away the facade of, it's all good. And it is, in truth. But you know, sometimes I think in unity, we don't give ourselves room to have our human experience. And so let us put away our falsehood, also making the outer what's true. You know, what we tend to do when we're mad at ourselves, I think, and mad at others, is we just forget that we are our divinity, our wholeness, our beauty. We can objectify people. It becomes an us and them, doesn't it? So let us put away our falsehood. And again, we have permission to be angry and upset, but this is not about us going out and lashing out either. No, it's about reaching out, extending, and saying what's true for us. Let us all speak the truth to each other, the verse continues. What is true in the moment is that you might be hurt or angry. And again, you might not feel all love and light about it. And it's okay. It's okay. It's really okay for you to speak the truth. But to each other, that means you're in dialogue. That means there's a conversation where there's listening and there's talking from a willingness, the courage to extend. For we are members of one another. I love that. This is our oneness. We are members of one another. And of course, we're members in this beautiful community. Whether you're an official member or not, yes, that's a little plug for the membership class. That'd be great. And we're all members here of our human family. And so it can be so difficult when we're in the midst of harboring an unforgiveness to remember our oneness. But if we can remember that, I think it can make it a little bit easier for us to extend. Can it? Yeah, remembering our oneness. But it said, be angry, but don't let the sun go down on your anger. So again, there's permission to have our human experience, but don't let the sun go down. Don't let the sun go down on your anger, because when the sun goes down, what that means is I can no longer see you. Yeah, we get to see each other. We get to be willing to extend out and see that person maybe that's hurt us, to see them, that they are another human being on the journey as well. And they're doing the best they can. We're all doing the best we can, right? Right? The best we can. Where we are in consciousness, we are. And so don't let the sun go down on our anger. And because underneath our anger, folks, is hurt. It's always unresolved hurt. And so when we can be honest about that and just be willing to say, I'm really hurt. But also, I think this verse is reminding us, is to not let our anger be our identity. It's not the truth of us. We can be angry. We can have that experience. But we can also set a commitment to heal from our past and to do our work. And don't make room for the devil. The devil here metaphysically means a belief in separateness. Don't make room for separateness. In the midst of our relationships with each other, the truth to remember is that there is only oneness. There is only oneness. So there's a story about two friends that I wanted to share with you this morning that I just loved. It tells of these friends walking through the desert, and during some point of the journey, they had an argument, and one friend pushed the other one down into the ground. And the one who was pushed was hurt, but without saying anything, he wrote in the sand, "Today, my best friend pushed me into the ground." They kept on walking until they found an oasis where they decided to take a bath. And the one who had been pushed got stuck in the mud and started drowning, but his friend saved him. And after he recovered from the near drowning, he wrote on a stone, "Today, my best friend saved my life." And the friend who had pushed and also saved his best friend asked him, "After I hurt you, you wrote in the sand, and now you write on a stone." The other friend replied, "When someone hurts us, we should write it down in sand where the winds of forgiveness can erase it away. But when someone does something good for us, we must engrave it in stone where no wind can ever erase it." Learning to write our hurts in the sand and to carve our blessings in stone. The German scholar and philosopher Nietzsche said this, "Freedom is the will to be responsible to ourselves." Freedom is the will to be responsible to ourselves. See, in this conversation about forgiveness, it's our ability to be responsible for our experience. We talk about in unity, responsibility is our ability to respond. And so our opportunity is to be conscious about how we're feeling and how we're responding. To take responsibility for that and to reach out and extend and to do our best to heal from our past, to extend. Because if we don't, we do pay a huge price. And of course, Eric Butterworth, one of my favorites, just likes to kick us right to the curb and really tell us where to for in this. He said, We can have our unforgiveness and bitterness and anger if we choose, but we will also have our stomach ulcers and nervous tension and heart trouble and mental and physical breakdowns. How's that for direct? Now that's some incentive. And Voltaire said, I love all these quotes I was able to find, it's so fun. Man is free at the moment he wishes to be. And I'm going to say man, woman is free at the moment he, she chooses to be. Yeah. Folks, it is not an easy road sometimes to forgive, to give love, to give compassion for a hurt that's been given. And quite frankly, I think the hardest person is ourselves. But this is an opportunity for us just to take a moment, to take inventory of where we feel stuck in our lives, where we're not living freely, because we're holding on to a hurt from the past. And we either have not given love and kindness to ourselves, or we have not been willing to extend and go direct to that person that has hurt us and speak from our heart, from love, our experience, I statements, responsible. See, we're taking responsibility for our experience. And it takes great courage. But when we do it with the intention to be love, to heal, to be willing to be courageous, to be the first person to say, I love you, yeah, it takes great courage and strength. And it will heal us at depth and expand us in ways that we have yet to imagine. So, take a deep breath with me. So this week, I just invite you to do some self-exploration, to just sit in the silence of your being and just notice, where am I not feeling peaceful? Where am I not feeling free? Where am I still holding on to something from my past that just feels so restrictive? Something I haven't handled. And so I just invite you to search your heart and ask if it's yours to do. First of all, to work with yourself, to look at your beautiful self in the mirror and say, okay, self, I've been hard on you. I forgive you first and foremost. I give you love for the hurt that I've given you. And then ask yourself if it is yours to do, to extend, to reach out to someone that has hurt you, to give kindness, to give love for a hurt, and to extend with that intention. Just to check in. And I honor your willingness, and just know that forgiveness is a tool on our spiritual journey that is transformational. And it will support us in living the free life we are here to live. So let's affirm together. As I forgive, I freely live, and so it is.